All right, next up is the San Francisco 49ers. 11.5 is their over-under. They're the only other team up that high, along with the Kansas City Chiefs. Over-under here for the Niners, Sam.
Yeah, highest mark in the NFL, justifiably, right? Like they look like one of the best teams in the NFL. Again, they kept all those insane skill position players in the building. They re-upped some of them. They're working on others. They even added to it with a first-round pick and Ricky Pearsall. I mean, I think they're still going to be dominant again. Like there's too much that's too good for this team not to be. It would take, I think, a spate of they would have to get really injury unlucky, I think, this season to not be amongst the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think now they only won 12 games last year. We're sitting here trying to say over under 11.5. It's the highest number, and along with the Chiefs. PFF projects them at 10.5. So right on I mean, it's a little bit lower because they're assuming, again, a lot of those projections are never going to project a team to win 13 or 14. Those are never going to happen. But on paper, everything's good offensively for the Niners. My question is the defense. Do they do enough on the defensive line to keep that depth together? If there was one team, because it's so high, it's not because I don't like the Niners. I might say under just because of variance. Just because of variance. I do like that division, but I love the Niners, and I think they have a great chance to get back to the Super Bowl again.
Not
But
just
I'm going to say under based off variance and because that 11.5 is so high.
And not just variance, but remember, there's multiple different ways of looking at the schedule, and we tend to only view it through the lens of how good is the opponent that you're facing. But there's also, like, the Niners get absolutely screwed in terms of rest days relative to their opponent, right? And that's big when you're talking about a violent collision sport that has a defined number of days between the next time you have to get in a car crash again and do it all over, right? The Niners, I think, are the worst team in the NFL in terms of how much they're getting screwed by rest days. Warren Sharp had a big thread on this when the schedule came out. They're, for the second year in a row, I think, getting screwed the most of any team in the NFL in terms of those rest days relative to their opponents. They're also one of the top teams in the league. You should be right on this one, Steve, in terms of distance traveled, right? They travel an ungodly amount of distance, in part because they're a West Coast team, certainly compared to some other teams.
Let that be a lesson not to build a team on the West Coast. So you don't have that.
Yeah.
You can't have it.
So,
be a Midwest team.
The strength of schedule in terms of who they're playing, might not be the hardest in the NFL, but they're getting screwed more than anybody else in terms of rest days, and they have to travel a ridiculous amount as well. So I still think they go over. I still think they win 12 or more games, but those are reasons they might not.
That's why I'm going under, but putting them in the Super Bowl again, right? Just a hedge, Niners fans. I'm saying under, from just a betting standpoint, but going to the Super Bowl, San Francisco 49ers.